Hi, my name is Ka. If you like the artwork that I make in this video, I also have commissions available. I do custom characters, OCs, and more. When you commission me, you're not only helping me, but you're also helping out my son, Anino. If you do choose to commission me, you'll be helping us find a better place to live. The link to my commissions form and guidelines are in the description. Now let's get into the video. If I'm being completely honest, I am just going with the flow and doing things as I see fit. That is the most vague and very short answer that I could possibly think of for when I'm thinking about how I go about concept art. But honestly, over the past few months, since the beginning of 2026, I've come to realize what it really means to do concept art. At least to my understanding. I'm sure there's lots I still need to learn myself, but this is exactly what goes through my mind when I go about what I'm doing. I've seen a lot of things online lately, especially like in job related areas like LinkedIn and stuff, that concept art is not the finished piece that becomes like this really nice looking thing that people see towards the end of like a process, when concept art itself is the process, which was relatively difficult for me to understand and put into my work and show that I can show my process. Not because like I don't like doing that, but for my thought process, everything goes by super fast. Sometimes I'll spitball certain things all at once, like, oh, maybe I can make this character do this, or what if they had this, or what is their backstory, what is their trauma, etc. All that type of stuff. I wasn't sure how I would be able to put that process down for people to look at when it's literally just spitballing a bunch of nonsense sometimes. But yeah, from what I know, that would be the first step when doing concept art, is showing your process. And from what I've researched and studied personally, it would seem that a lot of people who like to show their process take tiny little screenshots of ideas that they thought of, and they try to find it as like a reference or like something that does already exist that you can put on paper, and they just put that with whatever they're trying to make. For example, in this video, I am currently drawing a character sheet for my OC Seth, and I'm not sure if I added it in the video. I probably did, but you will see something in the top left corner of all the things that I thought of, that I found, say like on Pinterest, that aligns with my thought process and what I was thinking of for Seth specifically. And verbally just saying how I thought of Seth, I thought of someone who's a love interest for one of my other OCs named Dahlia. Dahlia has supernatural abilities, so I think it would be fitting for Seth to also have natural abilities. And based off the character design that I thought of and chose for Seth, with the little green theme, I'm thinking what supernatural ability would tie in with the greenness, and say like the very bright color green in his hair. And my immediate thought was like an acid, like a liquid acid that like just destroys everything. Goes kind of with like that grungy street look that I was kind of going for with his character design in general. So that in itself is part of my process when coming up with the concept for Seth, and how I put it into his character, like how he shows up, what he has in his own environment, etc. And I'm going to be completely real. I already thought of Seth's character design and just ran with it, but there is a second step that most people typically take if they don't already have an image in their mind of who they want their character to look like or be, I guess. And that is to do a bunch of little thumbnail sketches or even silhouettes for your character. And this honestly works really well if you have a very cartoony style that you can push proportions and sizes of things to a very extreme degree. So you get some really interesting shapes and silhouettes in general. If I can show any examples, I will. But yeah, so I would recommend highly doing silhouettes. Of course, if you have like a base for this person, like how you want their body to be like, that's totally fine. But it's good to show that you're capable of thinking about different options if you're trying to get into the concept art world or line of work. The whole purpose of concept art is, again, not trying to come up with a final image. While yes, it is nice to have that towards the end, it is not the focal point of concept art. And if you're trying to do concept art, it's literally about your process and how you got there is what people are going to look at. So exploring with different things and showing what you've been exploring with is more than welcome when you're doing that type of thing. Once you've picked out a silhouette that you're really happy with or that you think is very interesting, then you will build up the actual parts of your character in that silhouette, like where the head would be, how big their legs are, or like if they have any props, how would that show up in their silhouette? That type of stuff. You can start working on that and even come up with different iterations within that silhouette if you want to just push it that much further. Unless you already know what that silhouette looks like, then by all means. But that's just another option if you feel that will work best for your creative process. And I'm talking about characters a lot just because personally I am a character designer. That's the type of work I want to go in. But that works for literally like props and environments as well. Like different types of buildings, maybe even vehicles. When I say props, I'm thinking like a weapon or like just an object that someone has with them. That also works for those type of things. If maybe character design isn't for you, maybe you want to do prop design again, visual development for like backgrounds or concept art for backgrounds, that type of thing. Keep those things in mind, and with silhouettes too, just work with basic shapes. Honestly, at that point, again, you could do that with people, but for objects, I feel like it's a little less daunting to think of just shapes, just because I don't think it would be beneficial to think of like, oh, this thing needs to have like this really specific thing like a pipe or like a wheel, or maybe it needs like these floating thingies. Like, before you get into that type of thought process, basic shapes are going to be your best friend when working with silhouettes anyway. But yeah, along with your references, I would also put in any inspirations from something that already exists, just as like a little tidbit or just to see where your mind went to as well. For example, for one of my characters, I put in a character from a separate movie that inspired me, and as like, how should I say? I also put in like a certain aesthetic that was found in a video game that was kind of coinciding or basically similar to what I have created, but not quite. I do have my own thing in there, but I just put the inspiration just to show that I am also looking at other mediums and things that already exist that inspire my own work. Those are the basic things that I can think of for how I was getting into concept art. But honestly, I've been creating characters from scratch for the longest time, and I feel a lot of people do this as well without necessarily getting inspired by something or like trying to follow uh, like an array of references trying to create a character. I feel like a lot of people just go in blind and like just create, which is fine. But specifically for concept art, that is the key difference versus just like say drawing for fun or creating for fun, and being mindful of what you put into your concept piece, and showing what your process was to create said piece. It's a little bit more thinking, a little bit, I don't want to say like strategy, but a little bit more like being mindful of who is looking at your work and how they're going to see your thought process. So the next time that y'all want to try to do something that's concept art related, or you want to make your first concept piece, just keep those things in mind. It would be to gather your references, work with silhouettes, add inspirations, and create different variations of what you think you want, because who knows, if you go with one option only and don't think of others, you may be missing out on a potential better concept than what you originally thought of. But that's going to be it for this video. It's going to be a bit shorter than my other ones. I'm still getting through like a slight cough. I'm hoping it's not bronchitis, but yeah, I'm getting through a short cough or slight cough. I'm also trying to get back into the swing of making videos, as I had to take a break due to technical difficulties, and as I am making this right now, it is not fully resolved, but I will get to it when I can, or if I have the resources to fix it. I should be going back to my regular schedule. But yeah, as I said, that would be it for this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe or join if you're interested in more videos by me. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care.